Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Digital Twins, Changing the Way We Connect with Customers. My name is Thomas Berg. I'm joined by my colleague, John Heller. We'll be your presenters today. Before we get started, I have a few housekeeping items to go over. Everybody attending the session today is in listen-only mode, but we'd love to hear from you through the question box in your control panel or by tweeting us at Vertex VIS. We'll be answering your questions at the end of the webinar today. Before we get started, let's cover introductions. So, like I said, my name's Thomas Berg, and my background is actually as a technician. I spent over a decade in over-the-road trucking and in the heavy equipment and agricultural industries. And my journey as a technician ultimately led me to being a lead technician, where I allocated labor for 20 technicians across 2 shifts. And in that role, I also managed customer interactions. Then I saw a new opportunity with Vertex, and what I saw and what we'll be talking about today was a vision that was cast for me and that I really latched on to was the ability to fundamentally change how I worked as a technician and also how we interact with customers and how our sales teams can leverage Vertex to be able to sell and get products to market faster. John, why don't you go ahead and take a moment and introduce yourself too?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Thomas. As Thomas mentioned, I'm John Heller, work in product marketing here at Vertex. I've been here for approaching now almost 2 years. And prior to joining Vertex, I spent the majority or all of my past experience between 2 organizations in the manufacturing industry. One was Dassault Falcon Jet, where started in as a design engineer and then worked through some, I would say, cross-functional liaison department roles, and then into options management, and then into dealing directly with the customers of the product there. And then had the opportunity to move to Iowa, and there joined a company called Danfoss Power Solutions, which serves the off-highway heavy equipment industry, and there did a variety of roles as well across project management, procurement, supply chain, product development, and as well as product marketing there. And so that's really where I found my interests and passions to lie was within the product marketing realm, and particularly around looking at offerings and developing go-to-market strategies and determining the right personas to target. And really the last 18 plus years of working in manufacturing has given me a lot of exposure to different personas and the challenges that these personas have with sharing 3D product information. And so that's why particularly excited today to discuss this and show you some exciting things that Vertex is doing. So back to you, Thomas.
Great, thank you, John. So as we said earlier today, we'll be talking specifically about building a digital twin for sales. But keep in mind, Vertex can add value for your organization in many other ways, such as manufacturing, service, or improving your IoT data. We have webinars highlighting some of these use cases, and I'd highly recommend you look into them. With all that being said, we hear a lot of recurring themes from our customers about challenges they face around building digital twins in the enterprise today. The problem of not having a digital twin is felt all along the value chain. So what are some of those specific problems? A lot of challenges come from the data. There are large file sizes with 3D data in many different formats. Not to mention the fact that real compelling digital twins use data from a variety of sources, and it's often cumbersome and challenging to bring that data into a single digital twin. On top of that, you run into the challenge of how do I get it into a format I can deliver over a web or deliver to a tablet or a phone? Then even if it is possible, the UI can be complex and overwhelming for those who aren't an engineer. Not to mention the fact that teams outside of engineering rarely have the sophisticated graphics cards, expensive software licenses, or the user experience needed to navigate most of today's tools. So in an attempt to get around that, teams try to find ways to get data shared out. However, it's oftentimes low quality visual representation, and it's limited on the amount of views that can be displayed, and it may include orphaned or outdated data. And I experienced this as a technician that in part of the digital transformation that was in an attempt to get some of this data to technicians. Ultimately, it changed our two-dimensional drawings to a small three-dimensional drawing, but it took about 5 minutes to load. And frankly, I just didn't have the time to wait and take that time out of my day to get that updated experience. Let's go to the next slide, John. So what makes Vertex different? If we think about some of those barriers we just talked about, Vertex makes the data instantly available to anyone in the digital thread, such as sales teams, to be able to visualize and use the data for their own needs and in their own context. We're able to handle massive models with ease and still keep the cost low because we're performing all the rendering in the cloud, as opposed to relying on high-end hardware or a beefy graphics card to get the experience. We hit it at the CPU level. As a result, we don't have to rely on the GPU restrictions of a device. Oftentimes for product data, you have to worry about reducing down to consume the data, and we've eliminated that. So you can have a massively scalable experience that accommodates any model size with any number of users. We've also made our solution very cost effective. So instead of draining money into complicated software licensing, or server infrastructure costs and new hardware devices, Vertex offers a lightweight, cost-effective, scalable solution for any use case within your company. And there's no transformation, no data delivery, no screen sharing. That makes it all extremely secure in how you can share and utilize product data. You'll see things on this piece like GDPR compliant or SOC 2 Type 2. And if we break that down, what it means is we built our solution with security in mind, and we've got the accreditation to back it up. So let's go to the next slide, John. Just to recap a little bit, and this slide gives a bit of an example or a visual to cast some vision around what we're talking about. And what you see here is we can take any size model. That could be as small as a few components up to your entire factory and deliver the 3D representation to any user right to their device. We render everything in the cloud without GPUs. We can render your data sets and stream it back to you, so you can have a device-independent experience without data transformation. And we scale to all the users you need in this highly secure format. So with this easy to build and deploy 3D powered application, we can have things up and running in hours or days rather than weeks, months, or in some cases, I've even heard years. So let's take a look at how some of this happens on our next slide. So in this visual, you'll see a lot of different things going on. And we've talked a little bit about aligning your data sources and systems of record, like PLM, ERP, CRM, IoT, and aligning the 3D visuals to that data in the context you need. I know you may be thinking, do these guys know that PLM and CPQ or CRM are completely different things? And that's a valid question. And at the same time, yes, we do. What we'll be showing you in a little bit is how a model that's been loaded into Vertex, like from a PLM system, can be used to show configurations. But again, this is just one example. Once your data is utilizing Vertex, the options are practically endless. So anything, the ERP or PLM system, we can take that and deliver it to your CRM or CPQ tools without losing any fidelity, so you can more easily connect with customers. So for example, engineering when interacting with Vertex may see a bill of materials. Service teams may see assembly disassembly information or parts identification. And sales can see configurations or CPQ options. Everyone's using the exact same 3D geometry, just shown to you in the right context you need to perform your work better. All right, John, you want to go ahead and take over on the next one?
You bet. Thank you, Thomas. And to build a little bit further on what you just laid out, Thomas, Vertex is really positioned to serve the entire digital thread throughout all of its phases, as you can see here. We're all very familiar with sort of the as designed coming out of engineering, and as Thomas walked through in sort of our initial problem statement around sharing 3D product data. A lot of that information is developed coming out of engineering, sort of the as designed, and then becomes increasingly challenging to move along the digital thread. He also mentioned and gave a tip to some of the previous webinars that we've done where we've actually specifically addressed some of these other areas. And today we're going to be talking more specifically about digital twin for your sales organizations and improving your customer experience. But we also see many opportunities with the plant floor and dealing with IoT data, moving it through your manufacturing organizations in the as-built condition, and taking that data and aligning it to the visuals to ensure alignment. And then as well as also a previous platform webinar that we did here a few weeks ago was very enlightening around sort of the aftermarket and the service opportunities that are there, and employing or deploying a digital twin strategy to improve those processes and experiences that organizations can provide through their aftermarket and service. So a lot of opportunity along the digital thread, and Vertex is there to be able to provide this opportunity to unlock the 3D data all along this digital thread and link it to all of your different business systems. And so as we've discussed here, really today we're focusing in on the digital twin for your sales organizations, as well as the customer experience processes that you might have in place. Well, a question we hear oftentimes asked is, why even adopt a digital twin strategy for your sales team, for your customer experience teams? And it's a pretty common topic, I would say, digital twin, when you talk to the engineers, when you talk to maybe even those in manufacturing. But when you start talking about sales, then it's like, wow, what could a digital twin strategy really do for me in sales? Well, if we just stop and think about how all of us interact with things in the surroundings around us, obviously being able to see a visual representation rather than just lines of text or static 2D representations, being able to view rich visuals in the context of that data really brings your product and your offerings to life and gives a much richer customer experience and builds upon the loyalties and the pillars that I'm sure all of our organizations have of reaching customers, maintaining customer loyalty, presenting things in a way that ensures alignment and that expectations are met. And so when we start thinking, yeah, all of that makes sense now that we're talking about it, but when practicality starts coming into play and questions start arising of, okay, that's great. I get digital twins probably easy for an engineering organization, maybe some other close surrounding organizations to engineering, but sales, I mean, that seems like a really far stretch out there. And it's true. I mean, there's a lot of challenges when it comes to an enterprise digital twin, meaning that you're able to carry that digital twin throughout your entire organization and even into sales. And so specifically to sales, we would see that the number one barrier that we continue to hear from those that we talk to is really this little to no ability to access 3D product information. Strictly because your sales organization, your customer experience processes and workflows just aren't equipped with the right tools and the means to be able to access a digital twin and to be able to view it in the context of your data. And this is only compounded, quite honestly, by the proliferation of what we see today with what we would call low compute devices, such as mobile phones, tablets. I know working in the sales and marketing function, any hardware that you get is extremely basic, right? It doesn't have a ton of computing power built into it. And so it becomes extremely difficult to access 3D product information in its full context. What this leads to then also is the creation of 2D drawings, PDF. You have to lean on various support individuals, various support departments to generate these drawings, these PDFs, these spreadsheets, catalogs, if you will, in order to be able to convey your product offerings and different configurations that you have through your sales organizations and out to your customers. This is rife with opportunity then if you're relying strictly on these methods where there has to be a lot of interim steps in order to get it into its final spot, a lot of manual process then is that say a new product option is made available or something changes with a current product configuration, then the risk is if the reliance is built upon all of these, what I would say are orphaned processes, then potentially deals could be made with customers, discussions could be had, and alignment can get out of whack in a hurry. And so that in of itself presents a large challenge when it comes to digital twin, let's say, within the sales organization. This last item here, and I've lived this firsthand with the previous companies I've been in, is really the inadequate security measures that a lot of today's tools have built into them. And I'll show you here in a little bit through the demo how we're handling this in a way that nobody else is able to at this point in time. And the fact that inherent to the Vertex solution is the ability to keep your information secure. All of it is kept in the cloud and the image is only streamed down to your device. Nothing is being cached down to it. And so we see that there's this barrier with today's solutions and being able to help organizations feel comfortable that their sensitive information is being protected, and that if it is presented to a customer, that potential customer, probably not knowingly would share that with somebody else, but things happen and it could fall into the wrong hands. And I've seen this happen time and time again with organizations that I've been a part of in the past, and it's led to your competition getting a hold of your proprietary information, and before you know it, you've got a copycat solution of yours out there for 20% less, and so that's a problem. And so that can be a real hindrance to many companies wanting to adopt a digital twin strategy for their sales groups. And so I think this would be a good opportunity for me to just jump in real quick and give a brief demo of how Vertex is uniquely positioned to enable your digital twin strategies for your sales organizations. So the first thing I want to do here is demo. If you can see here on my screen, we've got this this model of this supercar here, and the first thing I want to make sure is that this is actually being presented through our Vertex Connect app, which is our SaaS offering that enables full-scale 3D visualization and collaboration. You're also able, though, to leverage the Vertex APIs to be able to render this supercar or any of your full product offerings in any sort of application that you want to build in order to showcase your offerings to your customer base as well. And so to kind of give you an idea, about what I meant with security and the ability to be able to handle this is that when data is brought into the Vertex platform, we're able to take it and spool up multiple parallel servers in the cloud. And this provides us the opportunity to scale infinitely on model size, as well as not be limited necessarily to the number of users that need to access this. And then when this image is called up to be presented, whether it be through the Vertex Connect app as you see here, or through a custom build application that I'll show you here in a minute, those devices, all of the heavy lifting is done in the cloud. The image is rendered and then it's just streamed down to your device. So there's nothing being cached down to your device. There's no computing power being utilized in order to be able to interact with this 3D model. Inherent to that from a security standpoint also is that since we're presenting the visuals with the data in such a manner, none of this is residing on the recipient's device, if you want to call it that. There's no data that is out of your control when it's being presented through the Vertex platform in this manner. So I just wanted to kind of show you the Vertex Connect app a little bit to give you an idea of what you can do with full model scalability. And other use cases here would be potentially collaborating with customers on design iterations, putting together and collaborating on different proposals that you would like to put together to improve that customer experience sort of pre-sales and walking through the proposal process. Now I'd like to switch over to another application here. And what we've done essentially is we've built a sample configuration application here that's not our SaaS offering, but we've built this using the Vertex API. The same API that powers our application, as you saw previously, we've also made available through our digital twin platform, and are now enabling companies and organizations to unlock the ability for end users to be able to build various applications for specific uses. And in this case, to be able to enrich the customer experience and connect more closely your sales organizations with your customer base. And so what we have here, is the visuals being powered by the Vertex platform through the API, plugged into the sample application where now a customer, or perhaps a conjunction between a sales representative and a prospective customer, can now walk through different configurations and see what those mean. So if we want to look through an engine here, we can see that engine for the V8, if I wanted to see perhaps what the V12 looks like in there, I can very quickly modify that. Also, if I want to come in and add in, let's say, some spoiler options, maybe perhaps since I've now figured out my engine, I want to kind of play around with a few different spoiler options, so we can flip back and forth between those. And as you'll notice as well, no wheels have been selected, so let's kind of flip through a few of these, and now we're kind of building out specifically what the configuration could look like for any given set of information. What's uniquely powerful about this setup is that through the Vertex API, we're linking this directly to your PLM systems or your CAD systems or your source of truth. And as the information is updated in your PLM or your CAD or your ERP systems, all of the business systems that are linked to that, along with the visuals, can be seamlessly updated in whatever application you would want to build. Specifically here, as we think about sales in a configuration application such as this here, really cutting out a lot of that pain of, oh, hey, the wheel option changed. Where did we print out all of this stuff? Where did we create all of these orphan files? We need to make sure that this gets into the right hands as quickly as we can in order for the appropriate discussions to take place. That can be made much more smooth through the ability that Vertex has to unlock that 3D data tied to your business systems and your systems of record. So that's just a brief walkthrough of what the platform can do. I'll come back here. And so, in summary, one might ask, okay, that's great. What does this really mean for my sales organization? What are the benefits that I can enjoy off of implementing a digital twin strategy for my sales group and improving the customer experience that we have? Well, First of all, as you've just seen and witnessed, Vertex is able to provide a very rich, interactive 3D visual experience to really boost not only the win rates perhaps of your company, but really the productivity throughout that whole process. If you're not having to find the information, spend a lot of time making sure you've got the right information, wondering which file formats you need to have this presented in order for a customer to be able to access it, stripping out all of the information to make sure that it's within, you know, a low enough file size that they can even interact with it. We've eliminated all of those barriers and being able to provide a limitless scalability in both the interaction that you have with your 3D model, as well as number of users literally on any device. And we can see that there's direct correlation to improving the customer's buying journey through all of this. There's a much more rich experience. You build loyalty, you ensure that you're on the same page with your customer, and you're really enabling much more, I would say, better informed decisions and in a much quicker time frame across not only throughout your organizations, but even as it filters out to the customer base, being able to make decisions and rapidly move business forward so you can get the revenue flowing. Speaking about revenue, you know, we're in a time right now as we're struggling through the pandemic where many companies are looking for ways to cut costs and to find ways to optimize certain workflows to achieve higher efficiencies, to maintain streams of revenue, and to shorten those buying cycles. Right now, you know, face-to-face interactions are limited, not only because of just the pandemic that's going on right now, but also budgets being cut in order to conserve cash flow. And so this provides a very rich experience to be able to connect with customers in a way that you can do so immediately without the need to travel, maintaining both safety of your employees and of your customer base, as well as realizing cost savings there as well. And on the back end, from a deployment standpoint, since we're literally able to handle any native or common exchange format, there's really no deployment needed in order to present this 3D information, to get that 3D information out to your organization and across your digital thread, to link it to your different business systems and start utilizing the power of 3D in that way. So I'll turn it over to Thomas now for a brief walkthrough of some success that we've had with one of our customers.
That's great, John, and thanks for that demo. We do have a couple of questions that we want to get to, so I will try to be brief on this one. And I will mention at the beginning that we do have a case study that's published on this use case. So if it piques your interest, I'd highly recommend you visit our website and download that case study. But Terex came to us wanting to use our Vertex Connect app with their sales process. So after the sale is completed, they align on a final design with their customer in Vertex. So it enhances secure collaboration. Their customer is actually getting to view the 3D data for what their build is actually going to look like before they receive it and sign off on that build. And truly, you'll see that powerful quote from Ryan there at the bottom that just shows how their sales cycles are drastically improved. So let's go ahead and we'll transition to a little Q&A time. And if you want to go to the next slide, John, I think what I will, we've got a couple of questions here from the audience, and this first one's, it's a two-part question on data transformation that I'll have you take a look at, John. And here's what our attendee is asking. Do I have to reduce the size of my models to use the Vertex platform? And then what file formats do you support, and what file format do I need to upload in?
So to tackle the first question quite simply is no. There's no model decimation needed in order to get the 3D product data out to your other business systems and to your downstream users. The inherent capabilities of the architecture that we have in the cloud allows us to scale up limitlessly in model size, as well as number of concurrent users, because we do all of that heavy lifting up in the cloud and are just streaming an image down to your device. So there's no model decimation that needs to happen in order to access that 3D product data. And then I believe the follow-up question to that was the data formats. And yeah, that's another barrier that Vertex has removed in sort of this whole data access journey that a lot of companies are on, is that we take all major native and common exchange formats into the Vertex platform. So you don't need to do any type of transformation processes to get that data in.
Perfect. All right, we'll try and take two more. So here's another quick one, John. Where's the configuration managed?
Yeah, that's a great question. To clarify here is that Vertex is not a configuration management solution. We rely on the way it's configured in your PLM, your CAD, your ERP systems, and we pull directly from that. So we're not creating any other sources of truth here. We're just pulling from the sources of truth that you have in place, and we're connecting that to rich 3D visuals in a way that makes it available to everyone in your organization.
Good. Well, John, I think we've got one more good audience question here, and I know we've got a couple more, but we'll plan to follow up on those questions after the webinar. But John, if you could answer this one quick, we'll start to wrap up afterwards. How is this different than the other web-based 3D visualization, such as WebGL?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'm glad an audience member asked that. This is one of our key differentiation points really between us and other solutions you would see out there, is that unlike WebGL that relies on the computing power of your specific device, we do all of that heavy lifting up in the cloud. And so all of that data, when it's brought into the Vertex platform, is spread across multiple cloud servers. And then when an image is called up, or that 3D product data is called up to be viewed in the context of its data, we composite all of that back into one image up in the cloud, and then we stream that down to your device. We're just streaming pixels and the images back to your device. So we're not relying at all on any hardware computing power that you might have. And so again, this enables us to set ourselves apart from other tools out there, because we're able to handle any model size, any number of users without any model decimation.
Perfect. Thanks for explaining that difference, John. Well, that's all the time we have for questions today. I want to say a huge thank you to our audience for being active participants and joining us in this webinar. And there's a few questions we didn't get to, but we'll follow up with you directly. Also, we'll be sending this recording out probably sometime tomorrow, along with the slide deck and a couple of additional resources about digital twins. You can always visit our website, vertexviz.com, to learn more about our product offerings. Thanks for joining, and have a great rest of your day.